can you still repent after death? So there's really only one verse. When I found this verse, I was like, oh gosh, this is, but there's really only one verse in the Bible on this that makes this a clear statement. Hebrews 9:27, it is appointed for a man to die once and then to face judgment. So that's I don't know if I have that on here. This is the only passage that speaks to this. It seems to indicate that we cannot repent after death, but it may not be as clear cut as how we interpret it. So whenever there's only one verse on something, and you kind of have to take a look at it, it might mean exactly that. What does face judgment mean? So face judgment is an interesting concept. Is judgment final? So you're going to want to say, yes, of course it is. That's how I grew up hearing about judgment. So this guy, I went to one of his retreats. I got to ask this guy. And I said, what about some of these passages? What about some of these questions that I had, even what about Matthew 7, 13, and 14? There's a wide road and a narrow road and stuff like that that I had, that I was questioning, and Matthew chapter 25, the sheep and the goats, and these sorts of things. He pointed out judgment is actually not a finality in almost all the cases in the Bible. Judgment has a purpose, and the purpose is to get you to repent. Think about the Babylonian exile, the Babylonian captivity. So the whole purpose, I don't know if you guys realize this, up until the Babylonian captivity, which was at 786 or 532, at that time, the Jews were still henotheists or polytheists. They still thought of, my God is bigger than your God. Okay, your God can kick butt, but my God is even stronger than your God. And they weren't at the point where they're like, well, there are no other gods. They were more henotheists, polytheists. This cured them. The main thing that happened that came from the Babylonian captivity, the good that came out of it, was they became monotheists. That's what happened. That was the result. And so if you think about the book of Judges, if you ever studied, there's a cycle of 4 things that happen. They fall into sin. They cry out to God. God listens and sends them a judge. Then they repent. 20 years go by. They fall into sin. They leave God. They cry out to God after some point in time. God rescues them. They live a good life for another 20 years. This happens through all the judges. I think there's like 16 judges in the book of Judges. And you just see this cycle happening over and over. And God allows it to happen. But the point is that judgment has a purpose. The goal is not just like, why do people go to jail? If a person goes to jail and they can rehab, so they're rehabilitated and they're ready to reintegrate, and let's say they had a good experience, not just now they're worse because jail messed them up so bad. You're keeping society safe from them, but you actually want to rehab that person. That's the goal. The goal is to rehab, not to punish. The goal is eventually this person can come out. And honestly, even if they're murderers and they can rehab, you want that. You don't want people to go away forever and make everything just this horrible thing. You want to rehab people. That is actually the purpose of judgment, much more than just, okay, you did what? And that was worse than what he did, so you're going away for... It's not helpful. That's not, and if you think about it as the heart of a father, you'll realize that. So judgment is more of a tool than it is a punishment.